My name is Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 26 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Keeping Up with Digital Marketing, A's for Your Q's, ChatGPT, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Please mark your calendars for the next webinar in our Digital Bootcamp series, How to Manage Your WordPress website, that's a tongue twister for me, on August 27th. I'll drop the registration link in the chat momentarily. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box and we'll adjust them at the end of the session. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Cameron Nelson, CEO of Tenzing Startup Consultants. Cameron has over 19 years of experience in technology and is a senior tech consultant in Silicon Valley, helping Fortune 500 companies improve their digital marketing and e-commerce. At the same time, he also founded several tech companies, including a software as a service website for tree preservation and a blockchain platform for nonprofits. Cameron is accomplished in language, culture, has an MBA and MA. He believes new technology products have the ability to help shape our world for the better. Please join me in welcoming Cameron Nelson.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for the introduction and welcome to this session. Today, we're going to be talking about ChatGPT and also other AI systems that are some of its closest competitors. And I'm going to be having this presentation from the view of how can these services help your small business. Obviously, digital marketing is the title of this presentation, so we're going to explore digital marketing as how they can help your strategy there in depth, and as well as talk about some other ways that these AIs can help your small business succeed. I will have time at the end for questions, so feel free to write any down as we go, and I'll get to hopefully everybody's questions at the end if we do have enough time. So with that, let's jump right into it. I'd like to start by having a definition of what exactly is a GPT, because this technology is what all of the AIs that we will be talking about use. And in fact, all of the AIs currently in development and for public use are running on the same technology. And GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And this is a technical term. And what it means is that these are a family of the artificial intelligence language models. And GPT was created in 2018 by the company OpenAI, who is the company behind ChatGPT. And you can think of GPT as a type of deep learning module or algorithm used to generate human-like text and responses. And we'll see it doesn't just do text, it also does images, videos, and other things coming in the future, which we'll explore. So as I mentioned, OpenAI is the company. They're headquartered in San Francisco, and they really started the GPT revolution, if you want to call it that, by releasing ChatGPT. ChatGPT's been public for almost 2 years now, and it's amazing to what extent it has really taken over a lot of aspects of how we interact with computers, how we interact with businesses, how businesses can improve their profits and think of new product ideas. But of course, there's a lot of other competitors, and even though OpenAI with ChatGPT was really the first out of the gate, Google was very quick to follow up. Their version is called Google Bard. It's also branded as Gemini, so you might have seen that. Google is an interesting one because if you're using Google Docs or Gmail, their AI assistant will pop into your Google Docs or your Google Calendar or your Gmail experience and try to integrate AI into those apps that you're using. And so if you want to, use Google Docs extensively or Google Drive to store your business files, Bard can be a pretty interesting way to get access to a lot of those files, to draw insights from them, to have the AI analyze them. So if you're in the ecosystem of Google, you might consider Bard as a really good option. Microsoft's Bing is also a very big competitor, and Microsoft also brands this as Copilot, which you might have seen pop up if you're running Windows 11. With a recent update, they've integrated Copilot into the operating system. So theoretically, you can now chat with your operating system like you're chatting with an AI chatbot like ChatGPT, ask it questions on how to perform system maintenance tasks or what files are taking up the most space or various other things. I think this integration with Windows still doesn't work very well from what I've used it as. And this doesn't really directly impact your business or your digital marketing either. So they don't really have a solution for digital marketing. And then the last entrant here is AgentGPT and another one called AutoGPT. So we're going to be comparing directly ChatGPT with these last two, AgentGPT and AutoGPT. I'm going to be drawing this comparison because while ChatGPT was the first and in many ways still the best AI that you can use for your business, I do think the future really lies with the AgentGPT model. And we're going to see why in a moment. We're going to dive into that difference. And so you can decide which of these platforms is going to work the best for your business. So to compare the ChatGPT with the AgentGPT, because that's going to be the main comparison we're going to be drawing today. ChatGPT has a free tier, and we're going to be using the free tier in the demonstration today. Or you can upgrade to $20 a month to get access to the pro level, the pro tier. What this does is it unlocks the latest version of ChatGPT. And so ChatGPT is currently on version 4.0, the letter O, and the O stands for Omni. And what that means is that you can upload an image and ask the ChatGPT a question of what this image is, or maybe help you to troubleshoot something based on a picture of a broken item. So Omni means it can take text and image formats, not video formats yet. And this latest version was launched in around May of this year. And AgentGPT also has a free tier. And if you want to unlock the premium, it's $40 a month. So ChatGPT is definitely the more robust of these two solutions. It's been around the longest. And whenever they are going to update that, probably the next update is going to be version 5.0. I think that's expected early next year. AgentGPT essentially uses the ChatGPT infrastructure, and so it always is a little bit delayed. So currently it only uses up to the GPT 4.0, which is not as new as GPT 4.0, the Omni version. So you will be slightly using an older version, but as we'll see, that doesn't really impact many of the tasks you'll be using this for as a small business. So these are the price differences, and you can access these websites with the links here. And this whole presentation will be sent to you. So all of these links and these assets that I include here, you don't need to write down, but you can just click on the links in the presentation when you get that. So one thing that I think is really interesting when we talk about these GPTs, and especially ChatGPT, because again, it's the biggest and the most widely used, is how good are they at understanding human problems, human prompts and questions, and giving answers? So one really interesting way that ChatGPT was ranked is with the standardized tests that college students take and high school students take. So we can see in the verbal GRE test, the ChatGPT 3.5, or last year's version, scored 63rd percentile, where ChatGPT 4.0, this year's version, scored 99th. Similarly, with the evidence-based reading and writing, ChatGPT 4.0 is in the 93rd percentile. So it's very, very good at understanding questions posed in English and answering them. Also with the law exam, it's also very good at math. So it's scored in the 89th percentile in the math SAT, biology, statistics, etc. So you can see here that if you were to hire, I say a college grad who scored in the 99th percentile on a standardized test, you might think they're pretty smart. Well, these are the same kind of, I would say, responses you can expect to get by using ChatGPT, which makes it really exciting and a really great tool for small businesses to use. Now you can see some of the areas where it doesn't do so well in with English literature and advanced placement, coding, So writing computer code, it's getting better at that, but it still is quite poor. English language advanced placement test. So in many areas, it does very well, but not exactly in all areas. And I do think with version 5, if that comes out next year, we're going to see all of these have a significant bump into the territory of it's kind of the smartest of all of us, right? And that's kind of where the future of this technology is going. We're going to talk more about the future of AI in a little bit. So this just shows that, yes, the answers you're going to get from using ChatGPT are going to be very good. So the bulk of this presentation is divided into 5 sections. These are all different tactics or ways you can use ChatGPT for your small business. The first one is in content generation. The second area where ChatGPT can be very useful is in doing market research. The third way is in idea generation for new products or services for your business. Fourth, it's very good at analyzing your data and giving you insights. And fifth, it can help you by prototyping and designing new products or new business ideas. So firstly, how can you use ChatGPT for some good content generation? The first thing is you can use it to draft your content. So it can write initial versions of content for blog posts, websites, social media, or anything else if you want an in-print piece for your advertising or marketing. You can provide an outline or just an idea and let ChatGPT do the rest and expand on it. It can create a really excellent, what I would consider first draft. And I'd always recommend you look over whatever output ChatGPT gives you before you put it online and represent your business with that. There have been a few examples in the past year where it's made some pretty obvious mistakes with facts, but this is getting more and more rare. I do still think it's in the zone where you should be checking it, and maybe in a year or two, people won't even bother with that. Number 2 is ChatGPT is great at helping you maintain a consistent voice and tone. This is really important when you're speaking to your target market, as you probably know from running your small business for a while, or maybe you're just starting a startup here and you're learning about your target market. But there's certain phrases and words and ideas that they prefer to hear, which helps you sell more products to them. So by uploading an existing piece that you've written in the past, you can have ChatGPT copy the tone and the voice of your brand and write things essentially in your style, which is really cool. It won't be a generic style at all. It'll be very much like you wrote this yourself. And this will help create that content which really aligns with your brand and boost your identity. Third, it can help you with expanding your content. So again, if you have an idea or you've written a small blog post or a small social media post, but you really think it should be 5 times as long or 10 times as long, you can just simply say that. And you can say, expand this to be 10 times as long, incorporate relevant details, examples, and explanations, and let ChatGPT do the rest. We're going to see some examples of this happen in real time in a moment, but it is pretty cool to see how it can integrate all sorts of different data points to help expand your content. And lastly is your SEO optimization. So this stands for your search engine optimization, and it can be applicable both on your website for your business, but also if you have social media pages and you're posting there. ChatGPT can assist by incorporating the right relevant keywords and phrases to help boost your SEO, which will increase your page's visibility and essentially the number of free people who come to your website. In the past, SEO optimization was a very time-intensive manual task that was done by specialists. But from what I've seen and the examples I've used ChatGPT for, it does as well or as a better job than most of the professionals out there. So a really great way to utilize it to boost your business's visibility online. So before we dive into some of these specific examples that I want to show, we want to talk a little bit about the prompts, or this is how do you ask your question? How do you phrase that question? As you can tell, there's a lot of different ways you can customize that. And I'm going to point out the few that I think are just the most important for you to use. Of course, you can use this cheat sheet and dive into a lot more detail here. But the first one I want to talk about is the tone. This is, do you want your output text to be formal, casual, informative, persuasive, or any other tone you want it to take. You can also specify the format. So if you want it to be an essay format or a bullet points or just an outline or even a dialogue between two characters, you can just request that format and ChatGPT will do that for you. You can let it know what the objective is. So is it to inform somebody, persuade them, entertain them, or some other objective perhaps? You'll see I use the limitations coming up next. And this is handy if you want to keep it under a certain word count. Number 11 is you can define your audience. So if you're selling, let's say your business is selling animal and cat supplies, maybe cat food, you can say your audience are cat owners that live in maybe the Washington, D.C. area. But the more you specify who this is going to be for, the better job ChatGPT will tailor that content. And lastly, if you want quotes or citations for the sources where information was retrieved from on the internet by ChatGPT, you can just say request your sources, request those links, and ChatGPT will provide them. So a very nice way to check up on facts if you'd like. Again, all of these 22 can be very useful. You can mix and match them in different combinations and see what results you get. But for the first challenge here, we're going to have ChatGPT write some content for us. And with this prompt, we're going to, for the examples here, pretend we are the Purina dog food company. It's just a company I think we're mostly familiar with. And so we're going to pretend that we are the owner, the CEO of that company. So I'm going to say, write me a blog post in 200 words or less. So again, we're specifying the length here that explains the benefits of my product to my target market. So we're not even telling ChatGPT here what the product is or what the target market is. So we're going to let ChatGPT just figure that out on its own and see how it does. We're going to say the tone should be informative. So we're telling it the tone, and the goal should be to persuade prospective customers to choose my product over the competitors. So we're going to see how ChatGPT does in this challenge. So I'm going to take my prompt, and here I'm going to actually click right into ChatGPT. I'm going to paste the prompt. So if you use ChatGPT, this is what you're going to see. And you're going to be able to put in your chat prompt here. It says here at the bottom that ChatGPT can make mistakes, so check important info, which is cute. They added that about a month ago. But yeah, you should check important info as it says. So I'm going to paste in my prompt, and I'm just going to say go. And immediately we see that ChatGPT starts writing the response as at the same time it's simultaneously researching the next section it's going to write. So it's really doing this in a dynamic way, both writing and researching and thinking about the next part as it goes. And you can see it's done. So it just completed our request. So let's see how well it did. So for this blog post, it says, the title is Why Purina Dog Food is the Best Choice for Your Furry Friend. And it starts by saying, at Purina, we understand your dog is more than just a pet, they are family. That's why we're dedicated to providing high-quality, nutritious dog food that supports your pet's overall health and happiness. And here's why Purina stands out from the competition. It goes on to give a couple major points, and I won't read through all of them in detail, but the first one is premium ingredients for optimal health. The second point is tailored nutrition for every dog. Third is that it's backed by science and veterinarian approved. And lastly is taste your dog will love. So ChatGPT on its own figured out what this company sold, Purina, who the target market was, and more than that, what is the target market looking for in their dog food? So it identified that people are looking for premium ingredients in the food and optimal health for the dog, that people want to buy things that have tailored nutrition, that it's backed by science and veterinarian approved, but also that the dogs are going to love eating it. So, being an animal owner myself, I do agree that this is a pretty good summary of what these target buyers are probably looking for. So I think that ChatGPT did a great job. Now, again, if your business is smaller and there's not much information about it online, like there is for Purina, ChatGPT might say, well, I don't know what the product is because there's not much information about it. In which case, you can just click on this paperclip icon here, and you can upload from your computer a Word document, a PDF, or anything which is maybe your business plan or marketing strategy or details about your products. So this will inform ChatGPT of your specific business. And this is how you can really customize these results just for you. So it's free if you want to upload a file. You don't even need to be a paid user to do any of the things I'm going to show you today. You can upload the file and ask it the same question, and then it will use the information. If it can't find it online, it will refer to the information you provided. So that's really pretty handy. So that was ChatGPT's response. I think it was pretty good. But what we're going to do now is go to the challenge one and ask AgentGPT for its response. It's the same exact prompt. And as I said, AgentGPT, I feel, is kind of the future of how we're going to interact with GPTs. And I'm going to show you why. So we're going to click into this. And we name our GPT, but that doesn't matter so much. And I'm going to put in the same prompt. And I'm just going to say to go. So what AgentGPT does is it will answer the question. It already answered it. This is its first answer. But unlike ChatGPT, which just stops, after giving you one answer, it stops. And if you have a follow-up question, you can ask it and it can refine its answer. But AgentGPT goes a step further and it anticipates the questions you would ask as a follow-up, and it just does that itself. For example, it would anticipate that the next thing you would ask it is to proofread the blog post and make necessary edits for grammar, clarity, and persuasiveness. So it automatically rewrote it for that in mind. But it doesn't stop there. It actually does 5 iterations where it continuously improves its answer iteratively. So this is the second answer here where it rewrote it for the persuasiveness, its third answer, its fourth answer, and just to save on time, we're going to skip down to its fifth and final answer. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So here we're going to see what its final and best answer is and see if we like it more than ChatGPT's version. And again, you probably saw this whole process took about 30 seconds for it to iterate itself. So this can save you quite a bit of time compared to ChatGPT, where you would have had to think of, well, what about this? And what about that? Type that in and let it answer. It did it for you here. So this starts off by saying, as the proud owner of the Purina Dog Food Company, I'm thrilled to share with you exceptional benefits of our products that will keep your furry friends healthy. So it kind of misinterpreted a bit, I think, because it's talking to us as the CEO or the owner of Purina, whereas I wanted it to really talk to the customer. But let's go on to the next paragraph and see how well it does. One of the key advantages of choosing Purina is the high quality ingredients we use. We source only the finest meats, grains, and vegetables to create a well-rounded meal for your beloved pets. Our dedication to quality ensures that every bite is packed with essential nutrients, vitamins, and minerals that will support their overall health and well-being. So again, it researched the product category, it researched who the buyers are and what they're looking for, and it identified things like essential nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, and the overall health and well-being of dogs as important, and it wrote this blog post. It also talks about that another standout feature is the variety of options available. So this identified, and I think kind of unlike ChatGPT, it thinks that one of the key selling points is how much variety does a brand offer. So it has a whole paragraph just on the variety aspect. And it comes with it concludes it, and it says, give your dog the gift of good health and happiness by choosing Purina. Your furry friend will thank you with wagging tails and wet kisses. So it ends with a kind of a cute note. So this is great. You know, it's personal. It did its research. This is content that you could use right away on your business website or in your social media or your marketing. So again, I think they both did very well here, but I would slightly say AgentGPT, even though it kind of messed up by talking to me as the owner instead of the customer, I think that the content here is really spot on. So let's go to the second area where ChatGPT can really help your business. And this is in market research. So we can see there's 5 main areas where this can be helpful in your market research. The first area is formulating questions. So if you're starting off and you You're not quite sure what questions you need to be asking to do correct market research? No problem. Ask ChatGPT, what kind of questions should I be asking here? You could say, maybe my business is in road construction. What do I need to know about my market? What questions should I ask to improve my product or sell more of it? So no problem. ChatGPT will tell you what questions you should be looking for. Secondly, it can do competitive analysis. GPTs are very, very good at analysis because essentially they have all of the knowledge of the internet at their fingertips, and they can comb through that in seconds and pull out the insights that you need. So you can see that it's very powerful when trying to do any kind of competitive analysis. It can also help you generate reports, research relevant statistics, and even tell you about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in your industry versus your competitors, which in the past, you might have hired a business graduate and they would have spent days or weeks doing research to give you these kind of insights, but now you can just get it within a few seconds and for free. Third is a trend analysis. So in any industry, there's trends, which can be very time consuming to follow, can be in news, industry reports, articles, but you can have ChatGPT give you a whole trend analysis for your industry or the products you're selling within just seconds. And it can really help you understand market shifts and even changes in your customers' behaviors. Fourth is interpreting your data. So if you have results of a survey you ran, or maybe you have financial data, and you're looking to answer some questions out of a large amount of data, and you don't really want to spend the time or have the skills to really do that yourself, you can upload anything you want, even at complicated Excel sheets, and ask ChatGPT to provide insights or find patterns or correlations, and even find potential opportunities to help your business. Now, one thing to keep in mind that I'll mention here and talk about more later is about privacy when using these platforms. Currently, ChatGPT has a toggle switch that says you can toggle it on if you want data you upload to be available for other people, or available to train ChatGPT to essentially help everybody use it and have it be better. Or you can turn that toggle switch off, which should block it from using your personal data from training ChatGPT. Now, there is some controversy how well this switch works and how secure your data really is. So there's probably a caveat here where you might not want to upload that is really proprietary or secretive about your business. But if you just start with general low-level things, you can upload that data and try this out without any risks. And fifth is getting customer insights. So if you have a year worth of emails with customers and it's 100 pages of text, no problem. You can just upload that document or even copy and paste in that text and ask ChatGPT to uncover preferences, common pain points, find opportunities. You can have it analyze years worth of customer communication or communication with maybe a supplier or anybody else important to your business. And you'll be amazed to see how it can summarize and bring out the key highlights just very, very quickly. So for challenge number 2, I want to see how well these two systems can do a competitor analysis for me as the owner of the Purina dog food company. This is often abbreviated a SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'm going to tell it to use bullet points, so specifying that format, and to link to any external sources it used when it found its data. So let's see how well that ChatGPT does with this prompt. So I'm just going to copy the prompt and come back here. I'm going to paste it in, and it starts working. So the first thing you might see is that it says it searched 6 sites at the top. It often comes back with different results, 4, 6, 8. I've never really seen it do more than 10. It does have a bit of a time limit, but in that amount of time, it searched 6 sites and it's written our SWOT analysis. So let's see what it says. SWOT analysis of Purina's top competitors. It says our first competitor here is Mars Pet Care. The strength of Mars Pet Care is that it holds the highest annual revenue in the global pet food market, has a diverse portfolio and products and strong distribution network, but that the weakness of this competitor is that it's price sensitive, so it has a higher priced premium products, which may be less competitive in price sensitive markets. And it's also had product recalls, which is an interesting fact and maybe something you wouldn't have known as the owner of Purina. And it does follow up with what are the opportunities here for us to compete with this. It says health and wellness trends, increased demand for health focused pet products like organic and grain-free options might be an opportunity for us to outcompete Mars Pet Care. And it does link to two sources it used for this, petfoodindustry.com and reportsanddata.com. So you can click on these links right here and they'll take you to where it found the information for the recommendation there. The next competitor it found is called Blue Buffalo, which I guess is owned by General Mills. I haven't previously done this, so I'm looking at these answers for you, with you for the first time. You know, every month I do this presentation and I basically give these same prompts, and I see the evolution of what the answers it gives kind of month over month for the last year and a half, which is really interesting. It does do a better job at finding relevant competitors over time. So with Blue Buffalo, it has a few strengths here. It has a few weaknesses. Here are the opportunities for us against this competitor. So one of them is growing pet ownership, increasing number of pet owners globally, and provide a growing market, and a health conscious consumers is another opportunity. Next, it find Hills Pet Nutrition, which is owned by Colgate Palmolive. I do know Hills. I have heard of this one before and seen this come up in a SWOT analysis. So, you know, Hills has their strengths. They have a lot of veterinary endorsements and they spend a lot on their research and development. But some opportunities for us could be a growing demand for specialized pet diets addressing certain health issues, which Hills doesn't really focus on, and potential new product lines. So again, if you want more information about something like new product lines, you can just ask it that kind of follow-up question. So it's always a conversation with ChatGPT. It's not just you have to take the one answer and that's all you get. And the last competitor is Diamond Pet Foods, and it did the same SWOT analysis. So very interesting. I think, you know, 4 competitors, they're all real companies. They all have real strengths and weaknesses. And so it did what we asked. But now let's ask AgentGPT to also generate us a SWOT analysis. It is also citing its sources, as we see here at the bottom. It's putting the links to the websites, what it's searching for, reading the text, analyzing it, and drawing our conclusions. And it's going through these iterations very quickly. This is probably the 5th and final iteration. There is a limit of 5 iterations here in the current beta of AgentGPT. Like I said, it is a bit of an earlier product. So it does say here at the bottom, max of 5 loops exceeded. So, you know, in the future, it'll go even farther, but right now it gets to 5 and that's it. So its final iteration, it came up with, looks like 2 main competitors, Acme Pet Foods and Premium Pet Foods. It listed its sources where it found information, including national healthcare.gov, petfoodindustry.com, LinkedIn, and consumer preferences from Google. And so we can see it also gave us a very comprehensive, both strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for these 2 competitors. And, you know, whichever one of these you use, you're going to be drawing some really useful insights. Personally, if you have the time, I'd recommend you just use both for a while. Let's, you know, if you have a simple question like this and you have a few minutes to read the answers, go ahead and get the 2 different viewpoints. And it's probably going to give you the most comprehensive answer to that question. The next area is in idea generation, and these GPTs are really good at helping you brainstorm and get new ideas. So if you have an idea for a new product or even a brand new business, and you want to have it brainstorm with you, what are some possible business opportunities? What are some products that would be good? What price points could I sell them at? You can ask it any questions like that, and it will brainstorm with you, kind of like an MBA college grad would. Really smart. Secondly, it can help you come up with creative prompts. So if you are in a certain industry, but you're not really sure, again, what kind of questions or prompts to ask it about creating new products, you could say, well, what kind of questions could I be asking? Because I want to create a new product. And it can help you come up with creative prompts, which can actually lead to great brainstorming sessions. Also, if you have multiple ideas, but you would kind of like to combine them into one, you can describe your different concepts. And if you have any text or data or research done, you can upload that. And you can ask ChatGPT to help you find synergies between different ideas or find unique and innovative ways to combine different product or business ideas to have the most chance of having a successful business or product launch. And fourth is problem solving. You can describe any kind of problem you're facing in business or not in business, but in this presentation, we're just focused on business problems. But ChatGPT can provide innovative solutions and strategies to overcome almost any business obstacle. So we're going to see how well it does in the area of brainstorming. So again, we're pre-arena, and I'm going to say to brainstorm new types of pet foods I can develop that will sell well in the market, keep it under 150 words, and this time use paragraph form. So I'm going to first start with ChatGPT, and we will give it this prompt. So we can see that it did keep it in paragraph form, which is great. Okay, so as far as new types of pet foods, it says to stay ahead in the competitive pet food market, consider developing a line of health-focused pet foods, create a range of grain-free and organic options tailored to pets with specific dietary sensitivities, and use premium natural ingredients. It suggests some things like probiotics, omega-3 fatty acids. These are probably some of the trending queries that dog owners are asking about, these ingredients in the food. There's probably a lot of articles about these in the news. And so it's suggesting that we incorporate this into a new type of pet food because these are the trending topics people are interested about this year. Also, we can explore sustainable and eco-friendly pet food options and have different protein sources like insect protein or lab-grown meat. So again, it's researching what people are talking about online, on forums and news stories, even scientific articles and journals to help give this recommendation for a new product. And the last recommendation is to launch a line of breed-specific and life stage formulas to provide personalized nutrition. So that's interesting, both breed-specific and age-specific formulas. So again, you can do this example or this test in your own business and see how it helps you brainstorm new product ideas. We'll also compare this to AgentGPT briefly, and we'll let it iterate. We'll let it iterate its 5 times. Actually, here it says we've exceeded our limit for the day. So again, we used it, about three times, and because it is a beta product and we're on the free tier, that's our limit for the day. So something to keep in mind if you're planning on using it for your business, you might need to upgrade to get access to more queries each day with AgentGPT. But moving on, the next way that AIs can help is with data analysis and insights. They can help you test your hypothesis. So if you have a statistical test you want to run, can be about the market, can be financial, can be about a business model, can help you test your ideas and your hypothesis. Secondly, it can help you with predictive analytics. So if you have sales data for certain products, maybe you sell a lot of products in the holiday season and you want to see what some of those trends are year over year and even forecast into the future based on previous sales data, you can upload that sales data and have ChatGPT do those forecasts for you. It can help you with segmentation analysis. So this is useful if you have a customer base that consists of different buyer personas or different major segments. You can have ChatGPT figure out those segments for you and also suggest ways to understand their behaviors and preferences so you can market to them better. Fourth is by identifying opportunities in your data. You can be describing business goals or challenges and then upload relevant data, and ChatGPT can help you find opportunities for growth or improvement to overcome your challenges or meet your goals. And fifth is by analyzing your feedback. So we use the example of having it summarize email conversations for going back years and years, but you could even just give it your Facebook page or your Twitter page or wherever you have customers talking to you or about your company, and ask ChatGPT to analyze all that to identify common themes or gain insights into customer satisfaction or perception of your brand or pain points with your brand and products so you can overcome them and really communicate to those customer needs without really reading through all of that data yourself. So the next challenge I want to give ChatGPT is to perform a segmentation analysis on my customer base. I'm going to say perform an analysis, my main customer segments, analyze, but I'm not telling it my customer segment, so it's going to go figure that out itself. I can say analyze the behaviors and preferences of the segment so I can effectively market to them and to make sure to provide links to all of your sources. So let's paste that prompt in and have ChatGPT do our customer segment analysis. You can see here, I didn't give it a word limit. So its general response can be several pages of text in length. In this case, it's probably about 1 page, which is probably fine for this. So the first customer segment it came up with is health-conscious pet owners. And it identified these customers prioritize the health and well-being of their pets, often seeking natural and organic food options. They're highly engaged with nutritional content and quality of ingredients in their pet food products. To effectively market to this segment, we need to emphasize Purina's commitment to high-quality natural ingredients and promote products that cater to specific health needs, such as grain-free or hypoallergenic options. So that's very interesting. That's a really key marketing strategy to market to this health-conscious pet owner group. Secondly, we have the pet enthusiasts. And this segment includes pet owners who are deeply involved in their pets' lives, like to do activities with them, and they seek products to enhance their pet's overall experience. And look, it actually researched and found that our company did a 1,000,000-mile challenge. I didn't know about that. That's pretty cool. This resonates well with this group, and it encourages physical activity and strengthening the bond. So marketing efforts should focus on things like these campaigns and promoting active lifestyles with pet owners and pets. So great insight into what motivates our second marketing segment. The third segment are the veterinary and professional recommendations, and they rely heavily on professional advice from vets in their pet food choices. So what we'd want to do is have scientifically backed recommendations by a lot of veterinarians to appeal to this segment. The fourth group is the price-sensitive buyers. So here, really, price is the main driver. They look for affordable options. So here we can target to them by emphasizing the cost effectiveness of our products, but without compromising on quality. And fifth and last group are the digitally engaged pet owners. Interesting. This is a new segment that I haven't seen before when I asked ChatGPT about this. It says these customers frequently use online platforms to purchase pet foods and seek information, and they're active on social media. So having a strong social media presence, and we also have our mobile app called Purina Pack, and we can use these to cater to this segment. So some great insight into our customers. I encourage you to, whatever your business or product, run a segmentation analysis like this. You'll uncover so many interesting facts and help you understand how to market to them more effectively. And fifth and finally, this is a tactic you can use to help boost your business with AI in prototyping and designing. So number one, if you want to help to visualize any concepts, you can describe in text a concept you have and have ChatGPT visualize that through a description or filling in the gaps in your product idea. Or it can even create images. If you're on the paid tier of ChatGPT, you can get access to the image generation, and it can create diagrams, wireframes, full color 3D renders, you name it. It can help you visualize that product concept. Secondly, like I mentioned, it can create wireframes or mockups. So this can be for new products, or if you're creating a website or a mobile app for your business, and you would like it to create the mockups of how that can look or how it should look based on your most successful competitors' websites, it will do all the research into your competitors, look at their websites, determine those design elements that are working the best, look at, most recent guidelines, and then give you a full illustration or mock-up of your digital design. It's an amazing time saver. I work with a lot of software developers, and this would have taken weeks and a team of people and a lot of money. But now ChatGPT can do it within seconds. And if it doesn't get you 100% of the way there, it gets you 95% of the way there at much less effort. So it's an amazing tool to use if you're developing a website or an app. Thirdly is user flows. So again, with a website or an app, you have to think about your user experience and how the users navigate your website. So this ChatGPT can help you analyze the best competing websites and design your user flow and the navigation paths to help you sell your product. Number 4 is the user interface and user experience design. Can really do a lot of the analysis like we've talked about and help give you some great recommendations, and more than recommendations, can help create those illustrations for you so you have the guide, the visual guide to create your website from. Fifth are feature suggestions. So if you're looking to analyze what features does your website need, or your mobile app if you have it, what features are your customers really looking for? ChatGPT can help analyze that data and tell you what features you should have. And sixth are the product descriptions. So again, as with writing anything, ChatGPT really excels at grammar, at writing logical, comprehensive descriptions. So if you have a short product description or maybe a poorly worded one, you can just ask it to rewrite this, expand it, use new data, use new research, look at your competitors' websites and write a better description, etc. And it can write your new product descriptions for you. So in the fifth challenge, I just wanted to ask ChatGPT to give me some feature suggestions for my website. So Purina.com, it's a pretty big website. They have a lot of products, and maybe it's bigger than your business's website, but you can do the same exact experience and example on your business website. And so here's some features suggestions that ChatGPT gave me. The first one it says is have a pet profile creator. So to allow users to create a profile for their pet, including details like age, breed, and size, and diet preferences. And then your website can use this information to provide more personalized product recommendations. So I think that's a great idea. Purina doesn't already have that feature. It's definitely something they should have. And by the way, when this was run a couple months ago, Purina didn't have any of these features. So these were actually features ChatGPT looked at the website, looked at the market and said, you don't have these things. We think you should add it. The second one is a virtual pet nutritionist. So we could develop a tool on the website that asks user questions about the pet's health and the needs and provide tailored nutritional advice. And then, of course, product suggestions. Next is auto refill subscriptions. So you can set up automatic refills of your chosen products, kind of like how Amazon has their subscribe and save. I think they're saying, Purina, you could do something like this for your dog foods. And next is a pet health tracker. You can track your pet's health information like weight, vaccinations, even medical history, and create a digital health record that will be stored on Purina's website. And there's more suggestions. It kept on going. So again, great ideas to help your website have those features your customers need to keep coming back and to buy more of your products. So as we've seen in these last 5 examples, the prompt I wrote was pretty brief. There wasn't a lot in it, just a couple of sentences. I was trying to think about it from the perspective of a busy business owner. You have the question, you just type it in how you think of it, and that's usually okay. You don't really need to spend a lot of time thinking about your prompts, but here's 4 tips that will help you when you write your prompts, generally just get a better response. So the first tip is to write clear instructions, as clear as you can be. Include details in your prompt to get more relevant answers. So word length, paragraph versus bullet point, the tone, things like that. If you can provide the amount of steps required to complete the task that you think, or examples of the output you'd like, you can sometimes get more accurate results. Tip number 2 is to provide reference text. So again, if you have a document that has an example of your writing for your marketing for your business and you would like to copy the tone, having that reference text handy is just a really great way to really maximize your usage of ChatGPT, because it can copy your tone and your voice if you ask it to. Also, you can have it cite its sources, as we saw, which is, I generally recommend it. I always like to check on sources, especially if it's something I'm not super familiar with. I'll check that where it got its source material from. Tip number 3 is you can give ChatGPT more time to think. So interestingly, it's running on these massive cloud computing servers spread all over the world, and you're one of 100,000 people using it at the exact same time. So ChatGPT is built in with the idea that each person only gets a certain amount of seconds, essentially, to generate the answer. And that makes sense because you got to spread out the work and give everybody equal access. But if you instruct ChatGPT to don't rush to a conclusion, take your time, just prompt it to take more time or to be more thorough, it will actually do that and take more time in its answer. And this can sometimes lead to more detailed or descriptive answers. Now, it's certainly not always necessary, but you can try it sometimes and see it can give you slightly better results. You can also ask if, hey, did you miss anything on that customer segment analysis? Just ask it that. And it will look back at what it told you, think about if it missed anything, and then go back and possibly say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about this, and rewrite it. It's really funny to see it apologize. Now, if you're using AgentGPT, AgentGPT pretty much does this on its own, which is the nice thing about it. It'll see if it missed anything. As we saw, it'll iterate its answer for you. ChatGPT doesn't. So you can prompt it to look at its own answer and see if it missed anything. And fourth is you can have it split up. You can split up complex tasks before you give it a question. So try not to give it a question that has 5 parts or 10 parts to it. Like, you don't want to say, give me a SWAT analysis, breakdown of my customer segments, website feature analysis, keep it to 150 words. You don't want to give it like 3 big questions like that. It's better to split those complex questions into smaller pieces that are just more specific. Gives it more time to think about each part of the question individually, which will give you a better answer. So not only can these generative pre-trained transformers, especially ChatGPT, create text very, very well, but business owners are using it a lot for image generation. And here are some example images that from ChatGPT. Um, you can see it generates everything from photorealistic images to artwork to covers of magazines to even new products. So if you're looking to, prototype or develop, a Game Boy handheld device or chess pieces or stuffed animals or whatever it happens to be, you can have it create images for these products. And you can see they're very detailed, very, very realistic. And in many cases, they would be hard or impossible to tell that they weren't taken, a photograph wasn't taken by a human being, that these are AI generated pieces of art. And here are a couple others. And these also have the prompts. So when you were to create an image, you again just give it a prompt. And here you can see the prompts that resulted in these two images. Of course, the company behind ChatGPT, OpenAI, they do have policies and guidelines about what art you can create, what images you can create. So if you try to create something that's against their policy, it'll just tell you, I can't do that. And you run into that sometimes. You don't really know why, because you weren't trying to create something that was kind of unacceptable. But still, you can run into that from time to time. But overall, you can get really detailed images. You can use these on your website, for your social media, or in print advertising, or wherever you need to for your business. And currently, the legal aspect of using AI for image generation is such that if you generate an image with AI, you are legally allowed to use it for your business. You own that image. Nobody else owns the image. Also, ChatGPT will never create something with copyrighted content. So, for example, if you say create an image of a Coca-Cola bottle on the beach during a sunset, it will not use the Coca-Cola logo because that's copyrighted, but it will maybe make up its own logo and put it on the bottle. So you should never get in trouble with copyright infringement because they should not be able to generate an image that infringes on somebody else's copyright. So and currently, if any image you create, you can use. Same with the text. So we've seen some pretty amazing ways that ChatGPT can be used for analysis, research, and writing, image generation. And I thought this was interesting to see how long it took major online businesses to reach 1 million users. And we can see it took Netflix, which was launched way back in 1999, 3.5 years to reach 1 million. It took, say, Facebook 10 months to reach 1 million. And it took ChatGPT, back when it launched around 2 years ago, just 5 days to reach 1 million users. So you can see just how rapid and how all-encompassing this technology has been, and mainly led by the product ChatGPT. So the company behind ChatGPT is OpenAI. And OpenAI and their founder, Sam Altman, which some of you might have heard of, he's been in the news recently, they have a vision for AI. They have a vision for where it's going. So this is their vision here. And I wanted to show you because I think it's really interesting to understand where AI can be leading us into the future. So currently, we have the 5 stages here. Right now, we're in stage 1, which is just called conversational AI. And just like we saw today, you use it like you're conversing with it. At this level, the current stage, you can have a conversation with it. You could have it act as a customer service agent or a coach, or it can converse with your team members and help you write, like we saw, social media content, create images and videos. And this is currently where we're at. And some of us are using it at this level right now. Stage 2, which we're working towards, is called reasoning AI. And in this stage is when systems can perform basic problem-solving tasks comparable to a human with a PhD, a doctorate level education. So I don't think we're there yet. As we saw in the standardized tests, I think version 5 might be kind of a doctorate level education. And with this leap, it holds a possibility and opportunity for businesses to really start to streamline and automate a lot more tasks. Stage 3 of AI development is called autonomous AI. And this is when your AI system for your business can just autonomously operate on your behalf for several days without any interaction needed. And right now, a lot of automations, they don't really work and they can break and they need monitoring. But with this stage, they'll rarely break. And when they do, they can fix themselves without any human involvement. So ask yourself, if you had autonomous AI at your business, how much more could your business be achieving with this type of AI running for you? In stage 4, this is called innovating AI. And these systems can develop innovations completely independently of being asked or prompted to do so. So they don't just run your processes, but they actively improve them. They're capable at this level of thinking about how to do a better job and achieve the goal you want them to in a more efficient and effective way. So how many people in your business right now are actively thinking about improving it? And could you use a help from an AI tool like this to give you ideas? We might see this kind of AI in the next 3 to 4, maybe 5 years. And stage 5 of AI, according to OpenAI's vision, is called organizational AI. And this stage is capable of performing the work of an entire organization. So every person you currently have, every function carried out but performed by AI agents that work together, they can make improvements and run everything required without human oversight. And Sam Altman thinks that ChatGPT will be there in 5 to 10 years, while other industry insiders think it could take up to 50 years. So just a little bit of looking towards the future where at least OpenAI thinks we are headed with the use of AI. Of course, with these powerful tools, there's going to be some pretty big changes to society and economy. And I wanted to give some information about that here. The US government recently did a survey and a study about the estimated percentage of job loss in the US due to AI. And you can see here we're in the year 2024, and they're estimating that there's a small amount of job loss, of 1% perhaps. But as we go forward, if you look out at 2030, that there's a much larger percent, and up to 30% of the population impacted by the use of generative AI, potentially leading to job loss. So the US at least sees that this is a concern to the economy, as we would use more and more AI agents for tasks and less people doing those tasks. And at a global level, the International Monetary Fund also looked at the impact of AI and projects that AI will impact around 40% of jobs worldwide going forward, but especially in countries where there is more low-income countries. So there'll be disproportionate exposure and damage in the workforces for certain different types of economies. So now that we've looked at those statistics, what are some of the considerations you should be aware of before you use AI for your business? Well, the 4 that I came up with was that it can get facts wrong. And this is getting less and less common, but it's certainly something to remember. So it's why it's good to check the sources on important things. Secondly, as we talked about, AI is not really capable of being independent and working on your behalf right now, though in some situations you can give AI access to log into like your financial accounts or your social media channels and post for you, or make purchases for you from your finance accounts. I wouldn't go there quite yet. It's not really reliable enough from what I've seen to give it access to accounts and let it try to do things autonomously from your oversight. The third is that the free tier of these services can be unavailable at times, or they have a limit of how many times you can use them per day, as we saw with AgentGPT. So if you're going to use this for a time critical need, you might consider having the paid plan, which has much less downtime. Otherwise, you could find yourself kind of locked out when you needed it the most. And fourth, is the potential for leaking of business secrets or intellectual property. So again, any questions you ask it or files you upload by default are allowed to be scanned by ChatGPT and used to train it better in the future. And even those facts and figures can be given to another user as a question to part of their answer. So if you don't want to allow that, you can turn that off in your settings in ChatGPT. But even so, I wouldn't really count on the privacy thing being good enough yet. I think there's still some potential loopholes, so I wouldn't be using it with anything that was really private or secretive about your business. Keeping the questions a little bit more general at this point would be my recommendation. And I wanted to see, what did ChatGPT say to this question, or what are the considerations or risks of using ChatGPT in my business? So this is what it said. It said, first off, is a bias. It said AI algorithms can be biased, reflecting the biases of the data sets they're trained on. And it can lead to discriminatory outcomes, which could harm your reputation or have legal problems. So it's true. It might cite a source that was discriminating, and it could incorporate that into its text, which if you use for your business could be problematic. So something to keep in mind. Secondly, a lack of human touch. And it says AI can reduce the human touch customers are looking for. So if you overly rely on very generic AI text or images and like all your marketing, it can harm your relationship with your audience. And I do agree. I think this is something to keep in mind. You would want to make sure it's indistinguishable from what you would have written, or not use it too much. Third is over-reliance. So using ChatGPT for marketing copy can lead to an over-reliance on AI-generated text and or images, and this can reduce creativity and innovation of human writers. So I agree. And there's a big push right now among the writers guilds and the writers unions and Hollywood and major authors to not allow ChatGPT to scan their books and kind of get trained on that. So it's a legal battle right now, and it's not resolved yet. But in the future, you could see how using AI exclusively could lead to lack of innovation for humans themselves. And fourth is limited context. And so this is when it comes into writing prompts and providing enough accurate information in the prompt, but it can only generate its response based on the prompt input it received. But it might not have a complete understanding, and it doesn't always ask you the right follow-up questions. So you could get a response that impacts your business strategy that didn't take into account the full picture. So it's good to try to be complete and comprehensive in your questions, but as you saw with Purina, I gave it no information about the business whatsoever, and the responses and the recommendations were really spot on. So something to keep in mind, but generally speaking, the more context you can give it, the better your answers will be. And there are some initiatives and government findings that go a little bit deeper and kind of call out the risk of AI to society. And I normally get questions around this topic at the end of my presentation here. So I'm just going to provide some more information in case you're interested in following up with these topics. The first one is called the Future of Life Institute, which wrote a letter that paused for future development of AI systems. And Elon Musk was a big proponent of this, and it didn't work, right? So the AI systems have actually been advancing more rapidly in the last 6 months than ever. But the point of this was to say, let's think about policy and impact on society before rushing forward into those, level 2, 3, 4, and 5 of AI. And you can read more about their initiatives here in the link to their website. And also the UK government and European governments cited a catastrophic AI harms among warnings in declarations signed by 28 nations last year. And there's more information on that there. And the last thing I'll leave you with is this article talking about how generative AI is stealing the valor of human intelligence, or essentially dumbing down people if we stop thinking for ourselves and just use it all the time. I think it's a very interesting article that points out some pretty good things. And there's a lot more of debate going on about this topic, but here's a few good starting points. so you can start getting educated and decide, well, is this something you really want to embrace for your business? Understand both the pros and the cons, I think, is important. So with that, it ends the formal part of this presentation, and I'd be happy to take your questions and see if I can try to answer them. Of course, I don't have all the answers, but I will try my best. And I thank everybody for attending today, and I hope this was informative and useful to you.
Thank you, Cameron. We do have about 10 questions, and we have some really good questions here. So 10 questions, 20 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. So the first one, I think you kind of covered in your wrap up. This came in early, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. Does ChatGPT give the same answer to someone else who may be asking the same question, or will the response be different?
So the response can vary. Yeah, even if you give it the same prompt one day and then wait a day and give it the next, it will most likely be a different, no, not completely different, but slightly different. If you ask it for a certain fact, like who won the gold medal in this Olympics, it'll give you the same answer every time because it's just a fact. But if you ask it to be more creative, it will change its answer based on just the time of day and who asked it. So it does change.
My question is on content generation. When you work with a GPT to output copy in your brand voice, how much input is a good starting point to get the feeling right? Like 10 microblog posts, 400 or 500 word blogs, etc.
Yeah, the more the better. And so if you had 10 or 20 pages, that would be fine. I think anything over around 100 pages starts to get too much for it, and it won't really analyze all 100 pages. But I would say the more the better. And the great thing about this platform is there's no real downside to just giving it a ton of data. That's what it's for. So I wouldn't worry about giving it too much. There's probably a lower limit, though. I would say at least 10 examples of the writing you want to copy. And this isn't even necessary if you're trying to copy the style of a famous person. For example, a while ago, my kids wanted to write a poem about something silly in the style of Edgar Allan Poe. And so ChatGPT knew Edgar Allan Poe. It got his tone and the voice that he uses just perfectly, and he wrote this other poem as if it was written by Poe himself. So for famous people, you don't even need to train it. But if it's your own writing, and let's say you're not a published author, then yeah, just train it on several dozen pages would probably be just fine.
And I think this kind of is a good follow-up question in the same regards. How can you be sure that despite telling the AI to write in a certain tone of voice, that it still won't sound like a bunch of other companies? If I'm using ChatGPT and my competitor is using ChatGPT to generate ideas and content, how can I stand out over everyone else using the same agent?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first way is if you do have some text you would like to train it on to kind of emulate the branding style you already have, that's obviously the best way because the style you write in is going to be different than your competitors, and it will pick up on that. I think very, very well, but you should test it out and see how well you think it's picking up. You can also give it some more instructions. You could say, rewrite this and be funnier, or rewrite this and have more data and facts, or rewrite this in a more unique and creative style, and I let it pick its own style. So if you feel like it's being a bit too generic, then just tell it to rewrite something and throw some new elements, some new variable into the mix, and you'll see it'll come up with like the same general content, but with a whole different style. So that can really help you differentiate from your competitors. You might find you really enjoyed being humorous, or some other type of writing, and then you can just kind of use that same pattern, that same prompt, say be humorous and write this blog post in my style about this topic, and so it'll know you want that humor element always to be there, which can help differentiate you from somebody else.
Okay, how about this one? Since health and wellness businesses, the content must demonstrate the highest levels of expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Do you have advice for using AI for blog posts and content to meet those requirements? This is a two-part. I'll let you start with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're like in the medical field or doing health and wellness, are the recommendations, what ChatGPT is writing, is it accurate, or is it going to pose like a health risk to somebody? That's a great question. So I would say similar to if you wrote your own blog posts or stories or articles, um, you want to write them with a high degree of professionalism. But again, even a doctor may be writing something. They're not always don't always have 100% of the information or always write it in the right way. So I think even professionals can make mistakes. But I would say from a liability point of view, you want to just do the best you can. Of course, check it from against your own professional background and kind of do a gut check and see, is this what I would say in this situation? Or do I feel like it's going off base here? Without knowing more about your industry, your specific medical field, it's hard to say, how to go beyond that. But I would say use your own professional guidance in reviewing what it writes, and you shouldn't have any problem.
Okay, so and more on that same question, will ChatGPT or AgentGPT provide footnotes or links to the studies for its responses?
It will. Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, it does that by default. We saw in the examples I ran that they cited sources, but sometimes they just tend to leave it out. I don't know why. But if you say, if they write something you like and they didn't give you the sources, just say, tell me your sources for that. And it will just, bullet point them. It might rewrite the whole thing with like a footnote, like a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and then down below tell you what those sources were. So if it doesn't by default, it will if you ask it to. And then you can also, as you use ChatGPT, especially if you've logged in as a professional account, you have your account there, it will start to learn what you like. So if you're always asking it for citations, eventually it's just going to do that by default. It actually learns based on its interactions with you, which is new from the last 3 months. So it's pretty cool. It does pick up on what you like in your responses. And so you don't need to prompt it for those things as much.
Okay. The same attendee found Perplexity AI, but they weren't sure if that was a good alternative. Do you have any thoughts?
So yeah, there's so many, and honestly, there's every couple of months there's a new big company launching an AI. Apple Intelligence just came out, which is a cute way to abbreviate AI, Apple Intelligence. Anyway, they launched, and yeah, there's always a new one. So Perplexity, I haven't used that much, so I don't really have an opinion on how good it is compared to Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, or AgentGPT. But I would say it's probably in a similar league with that. I know it's backed by a major company. And another one that some of you have probably heard of and maybe used is called Grook AI, which is the Twitter or X AI that Elon Musk made. It's only available, I think, if you're a user on that platform. It's called Grook. So yeah, there's a lot. And of course, I don't have time to actually compare them all here. So I would encourage you to try it out if you like it, but also compare it to at least ChatGPT, because ChatGPT was the first, and in many ways, when you rank 50 or more GPTs, it's usually at the top. So I would just keep that in mind.
Without uploading documents to ChatGPT to ensure proprietary information isn't shared with it, how can a small business use the system to determine market research, SWOT, etc.?
Well, one way to do it would be to keep your prompt a little bit more generic. So let's just say you're in Fairfax, Virginia. You're a bagel shop, a pastry shop. You make, food items. You could just say that, I'm a bakery in Fairfax. My products are bagels and cupcakes. Do a SWOT analysis for local competitors. Do a customer segmentation. You don't need to give it. We don't need to give it more information that could be any sort of secretive stuff. This is generic enough. But even knowing that, it can do the right segmentation analysis and the right research for the most part. So I would start there, kind of give it some general prompts, and hopefully you get the answers that you're looking for. Otherwise, you might need to give it more specifics. You might have a certain bagel line that you're really looking for insight into, this line of new bagels, in which case you would have to give it those details. So start at a more generic level and see if you get what you need. And you can always go deeper after that if you need to.
Can you quickly discuss how you get into the agent version versus the regular ChatGPT?
Sure. This presentation will be sent to you, and on the second slide, I actually have the links to both of those as well as the prices. So I think when you get that, the URL is a bit of a complicated one. So the best thing to do is just to click on that in the presentation and you can get right to it.
Fabulous. Let's see. Okay, you did touch on this. Curious as how this affects full-time writers and creative thoughts. Um, in the future, won't we just be regurgitating Chat GPT back and forth to each other?
Yes. I think the optimistic view, and I've talked to some writers and artists around the use of this for both text and images and videos, and the optimistic view is that professional writers or artists will use AIs like this as part of their creation process. It won't replace them. I think that is, the optimistic view is people who make their profession in those fields. Other people think that those people would be out of jobs because, you can get that analysis, the writing, the image created, kind of like just yourself for almost no money and very quickly. So it remains to be seen how that affects those jobs, but I do think there's a risk there. And the other part of the question was, if we all just use ChatGPT, does it keep getting worse and worse? So an interesting experiment done by university was it had ChatGPT in like a closed box environment just chat with itself like nonstop for a month to see what happened, right? Did it get better? Did it learn, or did it get dumber? So what happened is it got really, really, really dumb. The conversations just started getting whittled down to meaningless jumble because it was only as good as the brilliance of humans that it was trained on for like the last hundreds of years, if not longer, right? Like everything from ancient Greeks, it was trained on. So it's only as good as that input. And as soon as you eliminated fresh input, it got really, really bad. So there is that element to it that it can't survive on its own.
That was interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so I think I saw the bottom of one of the Agent GPT results had a task for creating an infographic. Is that something that either of these free versions of Chat GPT or Agent GPT are capable of?
Yes, not Agent GPT quite yet. That's still using a level of GPT as its kind of foundation that's not creating images, but I assume it will be soon. ChatGPT creates images. It will create infographics, not always perfectly, so you might need to redo them or redo it until you get one that looks right. It does better with more artistic creations like those examples I showed of a flower with water drops or a picture of a chessboard. It does better with more artsy shots than like data analysis, graphs, and charts. But I think they're working on improving that. And I don't think it'll be long, maybe just even by the end of this year, when it will be creating visual charts and graphs on data that are completely usable and readable from the first iteration.
Do you need to provide a disclaimer that Chat GPT or AI helped you produce content or images on your website or any other collateral?
That's a great question. So there's no legal requirement that you say that. And I think that's actually one of the big complaints many people have is that, you see something online, you don't know if it was written by a human, you don't know if it was just a bot. And so right now there's nothing legal, but I think it is more of a courtesy for your customers to go in and say, AI was used to help research this article. Because you probably also had oversight into it. You wouldn't say it was written by AI and I didn't even look at it. You might say AI was used in the generation of this piece. I think it's a courtesy, and it's not a legal requirement.
Is there an AI that will help with managing all your emails that you recommend looking into?
And so I mentioned that Google has Bard, also called Gemini, and that's integrated into the whole Google ecosystem. So if you use Gmail, then that's the only option you have as an AI to, if you wanted to say, look through the last, 5 years of email history with this the customer and find out what they were complaining about the most or what they liked the most, it can do that. And it's really amazing. And no other AI can go into your Gmail like that. So if you're using Google, that's your option. Microsoft has their Office 365, which is the competitor to Gmail, and Microsoft has their Bing AI assistant. And I haven't used Bing to do that in Office or Office 365, but I imagine it could summarize emails. So it'd be something to consider. So it depends which ecosystem you're in, but either the Google or the Microsoft ones would be something to look into.
Let's see. How do I supply my own content to ChatGPT so that it can learn my tone?
Yeah, so just at the bottom where you type in your prompt, there's a little paperclip icon which allows you to upload a file. So it's super easy. I think there's an upload limit of like 100 megabytes, but that shouldn't be a problem. You just upload. It can be Excel spreadsheet, doc, PDF, an image format, an audio format like an MP3. I did an experiment once where I needed to convert the bit rate and encoding rate of an MP3 to some other bit rate and encoding rate. And I thought, well, instead of doing this manually, can ChatGPT do it? So I uploaded the MP3. I just said, convert this into this bit rate, this sample rate, and it did it. And it gave me the download link, and I downloaded the correct version. So it's pretty amazing that it understood and could do it. So yeah, you can upload and work with multiple different file formats.
Let's see. Will Google ding you on content that you state you used AI to research?
No, no, Google has not announced any, probably you were talking about in their search algorithm, will it not show your website as high? No, they haven't announced any kind of dinging or penalty for using AI content, mainly because there's no effective way of detecting it. There's no effective way of detecting it even today. So in a year or two, there might be sure ways that any search engine can tell what's been written by AI, but that's not currently available. So no, Google doesn't know.
How does concerns with plagiarism play into this?
Great question. So if you had ChatGPT write something and maybe they, took inspiration from something that was obviously they read online, they got their data from. Um, to the best of my knowledge, anything that the AI writes is going to be not a direct copy of somebody else's work. It's kind of a juxtaposition or a mixture of a ton of different data. And so even those famous authors I talked about, um, like J.K. Rowling, she's been complaining about AI using her books, but it's never been proven in a court of law so far that any AI output was directly derived from her books. So she hasn't been able to win, a case against the AI companies. So currently that's where it stands. Now in the future, who knows what'll happen? This is a very dynamic topic. But currently, the best of my knowledge, you're not going to get in plagiarism issues with AI generated content.
Is there an AI that will be or is more secure to analyze financial data that could be sensitive?
So the best one for that I've used is ChatGPT, and it's really good at the Excel spreadsheets and helping you analyze it. You can turn off the toggle switch, which should mean anything you upload and questions you ask are just kept kind of within your account. I know, they keep changing their kind of security and privacy policy every twice a year, 3 times a year. So it's hard to know where they're going with that. But currently, that's the way it says. It says if you say we can't train it, we won't train it from your data. So yeah, I would recommend that one.
Are there any cons to AI ChatGPT?
Yeah, I did try to list them in the last few slides. There's some risks to economies, risks to the job market, even the risks to human intelligence. As I pointed out, I think those are the main ones. Of course, there might be other risks. Let us know what you're concerned about. I think is always interesting to hear from the audience. As I do this presentation different times, I do hear some new concerns come out. But those are the main ones that I can think of.
So this question was near the end of your presentation. Could you please help by providing examples of prompts for each subgroup as well and as an addition to the description you already provided? Do you follow what that was asking as when you were going into
Yeah.
subgroups?
I'm not
Looking.
entirely sure. I think I gave the examples of 5 different prompts for 5 different business scenarios. Yeah, I think maybe what you're referring to is under each of the 5 categories, there's multiple subcategories. So I don't have prompts for those ready. I essentially picked one prompt out of the 5 main categories and I did the example from that. So But I think it would just be very easy and intuitive and something good for you to try on your own. You could just go into ChatGPT and take one of those prompts I didn't use and just, again, phrase it like you're just talking to a person. You saw I didn't really do anything that fancy. I did specify word limit. I did say if I wanted it to cite sources, and I did say if I wanted bullet points or paragraphs. But you don't even have to include those details if you want. Just say it like you're talking to a person, and it should give you some pretty good results. You can use some of the prompts I gave in my slide about the prompt guide if you want some more specific results. But I think it'd be a good thing to go try and experiment with.
Great. That is it. We are out of time. If we did not get your question, I apologize. But we did get through most of them. And so do you have any last words of wisdom, Cameron? And then I'll wrap us up.
Well, I don't know. I just appreciate everybody coming. I think it's a worthwhile topic to be looking into and learning about at this point in time. And certainly for the next couple of years, it's going to be growing in importance of how much our business's success relies upon us understanding AI, using it in the right ways to get the most benefit out of it. So I encourage you to keep in touch with the SBDC's other technology trainings, some of which I deliver, and you can stay abreast of the latest topics and trends that you need to know about.
Great. Thanks, Cameron, and thank you all for attending today. You will receive an email with a link to this recording and to the slides. If you would like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBD resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. We do hope to see you at our next session. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.